I've started a lot of businesses, but none in manufacturing, none in food-based. What are some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
It went from, making stuff in my kitchen and, I can't sell to a grocery store making things in my kitchen.
Correct.
So the next step was to find a co-manufacturer. We want to make them free of the top 9 food allergens: peanuts, tree nuts, milk, egg, soy, wheat, fish, shellfish, and soy. It took me, 6 months, was traveling around the country to say, hey, here are my little recipes I have in my kitchen. Can you make this product and help me kind of take this to market? That process was incredibly hard, mainly because of the allergen-free requirements I had.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. I'm your host, Josh Kosnick, and today I have a special treat for you, pun intended. We are joined by entrepreneur and founder of Blake's Seed-Based, a healthy, absolutely delicious, allergy-sensitive seed-based snack. Did I get that right? That was a mouthful, Blake. Another pun intended. Yeah. Awesome. So everyone, please welcome me and join him, Blake, or welcome me and joining here, Blake Sorensen. Welcome to the show, my man.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Good to see you again.
You as well. We've had a history that we'll get into a little bit about later in the show, but first, you're blowing up, your brand's blowing up, and I just wanted to get backstory on this for everyone. Why seeds?
So I have a nut allergy, so growing up, I had it since I was about 2 years old, and because I couldn't eat nuts, I gravitated towards seeds. So kind of a full circle moment of all of our products have seeds, but whether it's sunflower seeds, flax seeds, it was just a way for me to, get good nutrition and get some good protein in.
When did you discover the allergy, or your parents, I should say, maybe even discover the allergy?
When I was around 2, I had a few incidents where, had some nuts by accident and throat would swell shut and have reactions. So they brought me in a few times and then eventually narrowed it down and figured out I had a nut allergy. So yeah, I really haven't known any different. As long as I can remember it, just dealt with it.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I have, 4 young kids now, and there's always an email of some sort anytime a mom is going to bring in a snack that, hey, this kid has this allergy. And a lot of times it is a nut allergy. I would say probably more often than not. Some may have gluten sensitivities or dairy sensitivities, whatever it might be. But I think nut is probably the most common one. And you started making these snacks in your own kitchen, right? For yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, at what point did you start going from, I'm going to make these snacks for myself, to, oh man, I got a legitimate business idea here?
Right. So the backstory was I was in grad school at Indiana, get my MBA, and there was an entrepreneurship course where it was a 13-week course, and we had to, write a business plan and solve a problem. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for me. I was actually figuring out what I was going to do. Was driving through and stopped at a gas station, wanted a snack bar, and there was no options, and said, hey, why don't I just try making these myself? So the entrepreneurship course kind of pushed me to start, making a business plan and helped me get in the kitchen and buy a food processor, went to the grocery store, and some of the early prototypes were pretty bad. But at the end, I had what, kind of the crux of the business plan and some initial prototypes. And at the end of the course, and said, hey, I think there's something here. Let's go for it.
And when you say pretty bad, was it meaning like just tasted awful, or they wouldn't hold together appropriately, or like what? Tell us a little bit about that, because I know we could take that a number of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, you need different, like some stuff will taste good for a day, and then a week later it's too hard. You need different binders and different flavors. And I was starting from scratch, right? I don't have a food background. So, I was going on Google and just trying different recipes to see what would work, and would actually bring containers to all my classmates in school, 5 different recipes, and people would tally which one they would like. So that helped me get some initial feedback, but it was definitely a lot of trial and error on the product development side to, see what everyone liked.
Yeah. Do you follow Tom Bilyeu at Impact Theory?
I don't.
He started
Good though.
Quest Nutrition, which he
Yeah, Cookie
started with
Monster.
protein bars and supplements and stuff of that nature, and he sold out of that. But your story reminded me of his story where they were making these protein bars, and at first they just tasted like trash, and trial and error, and then getting the machines right and getting the, like you said, binders right and different things created quite tasty treats thereafter. But it takes a lot of trial and error. Sounds like you had a good at least peer group to sample on, your classmates and whatnot that are all part of the MBA program. Any other steps there that you actually, one of the questions I was thinking about was, I've started a lot of businesses, but none in manufacturing, none in food based. What are some of the challenges that you had to overcome? Maybe some of the roadblocks that you've overcome to get to where you're at, and some of the victories that have come along with that.
Yeah, so it went from, making stuff in my kitchen, and, I can't sell to a grocery store making things in my kitchen.
Correct.
So the next step was to find a co-manufacturer. And, I have a nut allergy, but what we discovered through the process is we want to make them free of the top 9 food allergens, which are peanuts, tree nuts, milk, egg, soy, wheat, fish, shellfish, and soy. So it took me, 6 months, was traveling around the country to say, hey, here are my little recipes I have in my kitchen. Can you make this product and help me kind of take this to market? And that process was incredibly hard, mainly because of the allergen-free requirements I had. So travel all around the country to do that. And then, the next step from there was, hey, this is going to be a lot of money to run a first production. And I don't know if anyone wants this product. So what we actually did is we created a Kickstarter campaign. Don't know if you're familiar with Kickstarter,
Yep.
but
Yep.
we made a 3-minute video, and I said, hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to launch. But the first production order is $20,000, and was in grad school at the time. I didn't have that. So we launched. We found the co-man we liked. We launched this Kickstarter campaign, and actually the first day we got over $20,000 in pre-orders.
That's awesome.
And we ended the campaign with $28,000. And if that would have fell flat, if we wouldn't have got the funding from that, the business wouldn't have gone forward. But right away, when we put it out there, we had so many people say, hey, I have something similar. I know someone that has food allergy, and that was a key component to say, hey, there's something here. Let's keep going.
How many no's did you get from those manufacturers along the way?
A lot. I mean, I again had no food background. I was showing up to these co-mans with a PowerPoint and a one-man show, and saying, hey, trust in me. This is my vision. This is what I want to build out. And we got a lot of no's. And in fact, the one we ended up choosing, which we're still with today, really took a chance on us because there's a lot of upfront work, setting up the production and getting all the ingredients, and they don't want to do one run and never make the product again. They'll lose money doing that. So
Yeah.
They have to believe that you'll continue to scale, continue to come back, and luckily, I bet I got about 10 no's, but you only need one yes, and it's paid off for both sides.
So you had a couple of different things working against you. As one, you're just like you said, person with an idea that had no food background other than you had a food allergy, and you're trying to create a solution for people like you. You had no money. And then you're going to these manufacturers that are used to producing at a mass scale and not having to worry about the top 9 allergens.
Right.
So you had the deck was stacked against you. How did you stay motivated throughout that time, or believing in your idea throughout that time, to continue to say, I'm going to travel these next 6 months and keep knocking on doors to try and get a yes? What was your motivation in that time?
I mean, I just knew that there was an opportunity. I don't think a lot of people believed in me at that time, and I just kept knocking down doors because, deep down, I knew that if we could find this a solution and could kind of unlock it, you could really scale the business, and in turn, help a lot of people that need these products. So that was probably the toughest part, is kind of going through that when, again, a crappy prototype, no one wants to work with you, and you just had to keep marching forward.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, so many entrepreneurial stories start just like yours. Is like, I even think about John Gordon, who's a great author. Is one of his, probably his best-selling book of all time is The Energy Bus. And he was told no by over 30 publishers before he finally got a yes. I mean, you think about so many entrepreneurs along the way that are told no over and over and over again. So what you said that was really key, that I want to everyone to key on, is you had this knowing inside of you. You knew, you believed in something so much that you were going to continue to forge on till you got a yes. And I just want people to pay attention to that knowing, is when you know and feel in your gut, in your ethos, in your spirit, and everything that something is right, keep going and keep leaning in, no matter how many no's you get till you get a yes. Keep tweaking, keep moving. Maybe it's the sales pitch, maybe it's you, maybe it's the product in and of itself. Keep tweaking, keep going, but make sure that, or keep evolving, I should say, but make sure you keep going no matter what. So I want to applaud you for that. I just wanted the audience to key in on that knowing piece, because that was a key word that you said there.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost an intuition that just said, hey, this is kind of your calling. You got to go for it.
Yeah, that's great. And you had a number of stops before this company. So one of the things I wanted to ask, and I love asking, as you mentioned University of Indiana, but first Blake was a Badger, and I always love interviewing Wisconsin people, whether they're Badgers or started their company here or not, bringing it back to my hometown. What did you learn as a D1 collegiate athlete? Blake was a football player, for those that don't know. And what were some of the takeaways from maybe some previous careers that helped mold the person that you are today?
Yeah, so it really loved my time at Wisconsin. Like you mentioned, it was a linebacker on the football team. And I think kind of being an athlete in college, the first thing is, the time management, the teamwork, the commitment, and, the lessons that are molded in those 4 years carry on for the rest of your life, including the friendships as well. And especially entrepreneurship, and kind of, setting a goal, say, hey, this is our goal. We're going to work as hard as we can. And that was really key. The people I met and the lessons I learned in the 4 years of Wisconsin were key to kind of set the foundation up for, both professional and, just personally as well. So those were a formative 4 years at Wisconsin.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, I'd say afterwards, probably like a lot of other people, I really didn't know, I was so focused, right or wrong, on athletics in college that, got out and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. What's a marketing role? What's a sales role? And, luckily was able to be exposed in some early roles after college to entrepreneurship. Was, fortunate to work right after college, and kind of said, hey, like, I didn't even know what that was, that someone could just, really have an idea and go run with it. So was exposed to that, which, was amazing. And, what I took from there was, hey, some things I feel like I kind of have a good idea out of, certain sales things or how to pitch things, but I needed to kind of round myself out and as far as, okay, the operations, the marketing, all of that. So ended up going back to grad school, and with the intent of, hey, I need to work on myself and get some of these skills to where, someday I want to start something on my own. I don't know what that is, but ended up, going back full time to kind of focus on that, to pick up those skills I needed.
That's really cool. Yeah. So for Blake and I reconnected, and it was funny because I asked him if he remembered trying to sell me some fitness equipment when my wife and I owned an Anytime Fitness. And he goes, yeah, I might've been the worst fitness sales equipment person on the planet. But in that event, I think, a little tongue in cheek, because all those, whether, stops that are, you consider failures or victories or whatever it might be, they're helping mold the person that you're meant to be. And they're helping create an experience and life lessons that are going to teach you the next iteration of yourself, which is today, and you being the entrepreneur that you are today. So I love hearing, where people came from, and understanding the fact that, like many, like you said, you had no vision coming out of college that this is exactly what I'm going to do. Much like those in college that switch majors, which is okay to do as well, till you figure out what you're going to do. And a lot of people never utilize the major that they have, but find much success in life outside of that. So the fact that you were able to have a vision and go back to school, knowing that you wanted to create a business, you didn't know what, and then all of a sudden you're just living your life, creating different things in your own kitchen, and like, boom, light bulb goes off that this could be a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of look back on it. I mean, you nailed it. It's like when you're in the thick of it, you don't know that thing you're in now will propel you or help you in the future. But looking back, all those little steps, kind of helped mold me and have been instrumental in what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. So you mentioned the Kickstarter thing. Was there anything just after that that would have affected your branding or any of the manufacturer stuff that did I hear right that you had different names at first and then it evolved when you got some different branding advice, marketing advice, stuff of that nature?
Yeah, exactly. So we launched the company. It was named Blake's Nut Free, and
I can see why that might not work.
Yeah, we designed the logo in like a Microsoft Paint, and what we did is we launched this Kickstarter and we shipped out $28,000 worth of product to people, and the product, we've evolved the product. The product was kind of a date-based product. It got hard over times. And, we learned from consumer feedback, both on the product and on the name that, there was something there, but we had to pivot a little bit. So the product is vastly improved from what it was. And the name Blake's Nut Free, the big learning there is people want to know what's in the product, right? And the good things about the product rather than what's not in it. So we changed the name to Blake's Seed Base. Seeds are in all of our products to kind of, communicates the good things about the product. And yes, they're, free of the top 9 food allergens. But if you scream at someone, hey, this is free of this, free of that, you're turning off a whole audience. Like Josh, you might not have a food allergy, but, you might want a better for you snack. And it's appealing to both audiences. So the name change and the product change, we tried to, make appeal to a broader audience.
Yeah, I can see Lance Armstrong getting away with a nut-free bar.
Yeah.
but
Tough for me.
Good or bad joke, I don't know. Either way, we're going to roll with it. But no, I can understand why the name change and also the positive spin on it, like you mentioned, is because you're right. I'm blessed to not have any allergies, but I also am health conscious. So if you tell me that this is a good for you snack, whether it has nuts or not, that actually does not matter to me. So that's some great feedback that you got.
Yeah. And those are kind of our consumers now. I mean, we have our people that have food allergies that are diehard seeking us out, but I mean, most of the distribution we're getting, national distribution is going into the better for you set and having people trade up from, normal snack that, might have not natural ingredients and kind of trade up to some of our products.
That's awesome. So correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2021, you hired your first full-time employee and it was a director of sales. Is that correct?
So we officially in 2018 is when we kind of rebranded under Blake's Seed Base and kind of officially launched. The Kickstarter was kind of a soft launch, but our first employee was in 2018.
Okay,
actually.
cool.
And now we have 4 full-time people and a few part-time people as well.
So how's that transition been for you from being the only to now being a boss of a few people?
Yeah, I mean, you start off as a one-man show and you're doing everything, right? You're doing the sales, the marketing, the operations, and really the unlock in our business has been bringing in the right people and saying, hey, this is kind of what we've done with sales, but take it, run with it, let's work together. But bringing in people that really know those fields and, working together and trusting them has been the entire unlock of our growth. And it's been the most rewarding part.
I agree. Pouring into people, helping watch them grow into what they can be, seeing people that offset your weaknesses with their strengths, I think is awesome. Right. But it's also a steep learning curve to be a boss, especially as a young entrepreneur. What has been the hardest thing for you to learn as being a boss or what may be a learning curve that you've struggled with that could help other young entrepreneurs?
I think early on is, this is my baby, right? The company. It's like you want to be hands-on in everything. And really kind of when you bring in the right people, kind of letting them run with things. Sales guy, hey, this is kind of how I did things, but take this and take it into what and go with it. And I think probably had a tendency early on to probably micromanage a few things or be too involved. And all that did is stunt our growth. And I think my kind of biggest unlock is, set the vision, work with everyone as a team, but you got to give people enough rope to make things happen and really trust in them.
Yeah, that's a key there. So if you're hiring the right people, you don't need to micromanage them. And in fact, you'll actually demotivate them, and they'll eventually leave if you are micromanaging highly talented people, because highly talented people want the rope. They want to be able to do what they do best, and they will make you better if you stay out of their way. So that's a really good point that you keyed in on there, and glad you could recognize it early, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't.
Yeah. And the other thing is just, listen, like operations and finance, certain things. Okay. Like what's your superpower, and finding that out and bringing the right people in. And, you still have to know what's going on. It can, each component of the business, but focusing on what you're really good at, rather than trying to build up all your weaknesses. Cause, frankly, you'd rather hire for those.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you lean on for growth, for advice? Whether it's business coaches or mastermind groups or any of that nature, as you continue to think about investing in what's next and continue to scale, who is helping guide you in your decision processes so you can make the best decisions for the company and your employees?
Yeah, we have an advisory board. I think early on, I started off, just calling general business people and say, like, what do you think about this strategy or that strategy? And what I pretty quickly learned that the CPG industry, which we're in, is a lot different than construction or, whatever it may be. And that took me a little bit because I was getting advice that people that hadn't lived it, haven't breathed it. And, now I spend, probably 4 hours a week on the phone talking to people that are operating businesses specifically in, CPG, that are living and breathing it every day and sharing stories. And we have, a 3-person advisory board. Every person has, started and sold a food company, and, can help me. They've kind of made a lot of the mistakes. They've gone through it. And those are the people that I'm on the phone with all the time saying, hey, this is kind of how I'm seeing it, but what did you go through? How would you look at this if you were me?
Really good. Really good. Really important for everyone to hear that is getting an advisory board or being a part of a mastermind or whatever it might be, to make sure that those people in that group that are giving you advice have been there and done that before. Because like Blake mentioned there, is if you get some people that are business owners, so say like me, for example, I've owned many businesses, but nothing like what you're doing. I can give you great people advice. I can give you HR advice. I can give you sales advice. Those are all things that I've been through and done before, but I can't give you any food manufacturing advice.
Right. Right. And that, listen, there's definitely carryover from all businesses, whether it's people, management, certain things. But when you need kind of nitty gritty details on, whether it's manufacturing or the back end or the FDA, you need to, talk to people that know what they're doing and have been through it. And the learning has been like, I can learn all these things for the first time, or I can reach out and build a network and, try to skip some of these falters that, I may have and other people have gone through.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the FDA. That was one of my questions. Is it as big of a pain in the ass as it seems?
The co-manufacturers, they have to kind of pass all the tests. And they are frankly the ones that if you make it in a facility that, has other certifications, you're kind of good to go as a brand. But yeah, I mean, there are certain things with label requirements are important, obviously nutrition, we have certifications for a nut-free and gluten-free facility. But it's just making sure you're on the same page and dealing with a legitimate manufacturer, and that's all buttoned up, yeah, you're pretty set.
Good. That's good to hear. Yeah, just everything that I've heard and experienced with the FDA, whether it's reading in the news or just any product based, or you think about the milk formula shortage over the past year, like
Right.
manufacturing stuff of that nature, just seems to be quite a pain. And I've had thoughts of, man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with them as a business owner.
Yeah. I mean, the supply chain with everything that's been going on the last year has been pretty crazy, but that's part of it, right? It's just kind of roll with the punches and figure it out.
So are you sourced and manufactured here in the US?
We have one facility in the US and then one actually up in Canada.
Okay. So all North
Canada,
America.
Yep, all North America. Canada is frankly kind of ahead of the US as far as some of their allergen-free manufacturing protocols. They're really strict. So yeah, we're one US, one Canada, and we'll continue to expand. Hopefully keep everything we can in the US.
Cool. That's good to hear. I think there's a big push and more of a push coming back to the US with all that's gone on over the last few years with China economically and geopolitically and whatnot. So I think that more and more companies that employ people in the U.S., manufacture and source in the U.S., I think that messaging is only going to carry forward in a positive manner, and it's probably the right thing to do for most businesses, should they be able to afford it.
Yeah. Like just a quick side story in that we were launching sunflower seeds. We have like 3 flavors of sunflower seeds out of the shell, and right when the Ukraine-Russia war was going on, where there was a shortage, and we're jacking up the prices, and to your point, we found a facility in Texas and sourced everything domestically now, and it's made our life a lot easier to just really understand the supply chain and where things are coming from.
So you had previously had some stuff coming from across seas?
Some of them, like certain ingredients, come from other places, but I think the more that we grow, we're focused on keeping everything domestic that we can.
Cool. So speaking about growth, before we run out of time, I want to make sure that we talk about that. Like, you're in over 300 Walmart stores now, correct? Is that what I read?
We're in 300 Sam's Clubs.
Sam's Club, sorry.
I was in Walmart yesterday morning for a meeting in Bentonville. So
nice.
Hopefully a lot more to come there, but yeah, we're in over 2,000 retail stores right now across the country. Places like Kroger, Sprouts, Wegmans, Sam's Club, Jewel, and then online as well. Places like Amazon, Thrive Market.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as you grow and expand, and you're already doing for a young entrepreneur starting in 2018, we're just 4 years in and you're over a couple thousand stores already. What's next? What do you see the vision 5-10 years from now, as you continue to think big and continue to expand and scale this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I really feel the reason I started the company was there's a lack of, allergen-free snacks. And you look at the life cycle, better for you allergen-free snack, to really, I think, fulfill our vision is we want to be everywhere. We want to make our products accessible, whatever, to retailer, grocery stores, gas stations, and also have multiple product lines. Like we have if you want some protein, we have some sunflower seeds. If you want a better for you treat, we have a crispy treat. So, really touch the consumer every part of the day, and kind of fulfill their snack needs and be accessible, and also at a price point that people can afford. So I think retail expansion is really kind of our key right now, and is our main focus. And it takes time, but we're on our way.
No, you're definitely on your way. A couple of key things you said there that I want entrepreneurs to hear is Blake's why as an entrepreneur isn't about making money. His why was to create a solution for people like him that had allergens, right? So money will be a byproduct of Blake solving a problem. Blake's company is solving a problem. Money will come from that. And to the extent that you do it really well, will be how well the company will do, right? So money's a byproduct of the why, not the precursor, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs get into business thinking they're going to be rich, And to an extent, a lot of entrepreneurs can become rich. But I will just argue that it's because the why is not about money. It's about solving a problem. You solve that problem well enough and you'll be rich.
Yeah, the more value, yeah, spot on. And the more value we can provide others, we'll be, taken care of if we do it well in the end. But we get emails all the time like, hey, my son couldn't eat this, or thank you for creating the product. And that just drives us, and continue to grow to reach as many people as we can.
No, it's awesome. I need to get my hands on some of this stuff for my wife as well. So I said I was blessed not to have allergies, but my wife has always had a dairy allergy, and then after third pregnancy developed a shellfish allergy. So our kids, fortunately, to this point, we don't know, or we don't think they have any major allergies, but my wife certainly does. And it's interesting, even I didn't even know this could happen with hormones, just being naive until we had kids. But then her developing that shellfish allergy after a third pregnancy, when all her life she was able to eat shellfish, and now she cannot without violently throwing up, becoming ill.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of stories like that. I mean, sometimes allergies will happen later in life, and it's kind of the people with food allergies sometimes screwed up for everyone else, right? If there's a classroom of one person that has a gluten allergy or nut allergy, which is like, we kind of look at it like, why not, if everything's equal, create a product that still tastes good and is free of the major ones so everyone can eat it.
No, that's great. All right, my man, where can people follow you? Follow Blake Seeds, maybe even list some of those stores again, as to repeat, as where they can buy and purchase your great product.
Yeah, so Kroger, Sprouts, Wegmans, Jewel, we're in Sam's Club now, online and Amazon, website blakeseedbase.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want. We're trying to get all the channels to keep spreading the word.
Well, it's a great word, and obviously a great mission for all those with allergies, for all those that want to eat healthy. Like we were talking about earlier, is I'm a health nut and want to be able to eat healthy. Whether or not I have an allergy shouldn't matter. If I have a great tasting product, I'm going to go get it. So for all of you today, I know you got a lot out of this episode, especially the young entrepreneurs out there. Blake is doing some great things with a very young company that's going to scale at a major level, and already has in the first 4 years. It's really impressive to see your growth. You're using your education, some of your past failures, and stepping stones to become the man and entrepreneur and boss that you are today. I really can't wait to see what you do going forward. Obviously, we'll hopefully reconnect at a Badger game this year. Always great to connect with a Badger over Zoom or in person. So you're welcome to stop up at the farm if and when you get back to Madison, my friend.
Love it. Appreciate you having me. And yeah, thanks for everything you do. You're providing great value for a lot of people. So keep up the good work.
Appreciate that. So for everyone today, thanks for tuning in. Please share this episode. If you know a young entrepreneur, if you know a leader that needs to hear Blake's message, please share this episode. We don't run ads. We're going by strictly word of mouth. And for all of you here today, remember that good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.